Welcome back to Busy Watching Women's Soccer. I'm Bridie O'Toole, here to recap the NWSL action from the weekend. And we had some of the best goals I have seen all season. Not all meaningful goals, but some truly, truly excellent goals sprinkled in there. So let's get into the games. First game this weekend was Dash Reign. I can forgive you if you weren't watching this game, but it turns out it was actually a very good matchup. Lots of action. One of my favorite things was getting to watch Mondesir, who's joined from the French Division 1 League. Another summer transfer. We've seen some summer transfers have great success in this league. Not everybody has been able to do it, but Lacasse has played great, Lemie has played great. Reign have been a little bit more conservative with Mondesir. This was her first start, but she had a big impact. Really enjoyed watching her. You may remember last time we did this, I was a little bit critical of Houston Dash and their shooting. I certainly think they have tidied that up a fair bit. A lot of these shots looked more well thought out to me, well placed. And I honestly think Houston kind of had the run of play here at the beginning. They just seemed to be generating the more threatening chances. Dickey was called on early to make some big saves. And I just think the Reign didn't have the kind of quality that they're known for. They were turning over the ball. The passes weren't crisp. Houston took advantage of this. They would just transition quickly and try and get shots off. And this clip, I think, is a great example because you see Reign have the ability to clear it. They have time, they have space, but they're just making silly little mistakes. And again, Houston, the delivery's not perfect, but the spacing's better. They're recycling the ball better. Things just look better this week to me. But it's football. Things change quickly. I think the Reign got a little bit of momentum. About 20 minutes in, they started having a little bit more success passing. We're able to cross this ball in. And we see Mondesir take advantage here, this opportunity. A little bit unselfish and passes, but does help them win this corner. Something we're going to see across the week, and I assume going into next week, is the importance of set pieces, both offensively and defensively going into the playoffs. This one here, it's really just a second opportunity, but it is a heck of a strike. And this is one of the goals I alluded to in the beginning. Olivia Athens just steps to this ball. Wonderful placement, a fantastic technique. And then for whatever reason, Reign went right back to poor clearances and sloppy touches after this, and you can see the chaos and the confusion that creates. And from there, we have a bad step, body block, pick play, whatever you want to call it. It's just not allowed. I think when you watch the replay, you're really going to see what happens here. Yes, you're allowed to step in front of another player like that. What you cannot do is be that far away from a ball with zero intention of playing the ball. Penalty kick, another one for Houston, and they seem to be doing a great job picking these up. And we're all tied up. When the Reign did get their second goal, I don't think it's even really because they got things under control. They're still taking bad touches. They're still passing awkwardly. In this sequence, it's a little awkward, kind of choppy. G takes one touch too many, but it's Mondesir. Just calm presence in there, really patient, very intelligent touches, and man, I love the emotion. She's going to be a star in this league. You just tell us, just ready to take advantage of this. She just saw it before it even happened. Next up on the docket is Wave Current, and I really enjoy watching Kansas City play. I have my tickets for the NWSL final. I would be so honored if I get to watch Kansas City Current play live, but this is one that I was glad was an away game for the Wave because they're truly just turning into an opportunity for me to drink Cutwaters, and it has to stop. For my sake, the games need to improve. I cannot drink anymore. I want to spend a little bit of time breaking down what I think is a problem structurally on offense for San Diego Wave. If you've watched my U.S. Women's National Team Olympic video, some of this formation might look a little bit familiar to you because it is. Landon Donovan seems to think his team is a U.S. Women's National Team and they would like to use the same offensive tactics. Our back three here is made up of the right back and two center backs. The left back is pushed high, although I would argue too high. We've got two defensive midfielders, one more attacking style midfielder, and then three forwards that you could call a combination of maybe a striker and two wingers. But it doesn't really matter who's supposed to do what. If you just look at the picture, you can see a massive amount of space between the defensive midfielder and the attacking midfielder. There's very few connection points between those defensive midfielders and the upfield players, and that connective tissue to string passes together is just not there. I know what they're trying to do here. I know why this looks like garbage, why we have everybody pushed up front. They want to play this long ball. They want to get in behind. But here's the problem. They haven't left enough space in behind to get into. They're holding their forwards too high upfield, and you add on to that, it's very congested up there. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Wave players, 4 Kansas City players. So even if you are able to get the ball in behind, there's no space to play into. It makes zero sense to me. And what's even more interesting, we're going to watch this game through, we're going to watch the highlights through, and you're going to see Kansas City show you how to do exactly what the Wave are trying to do. It's just nonsensical to me. So we have a center back passing to a center back, looks upfield, no options. I wonder why. We now get pushed back even further to the goalkeeper. We now have a center back traveling very far upfield. So we have a left back committed high and a center back committed high. All of a sudden, Wave have turned over a ball and you only have 2 defenders back. Look how narrow the positioning is. Look where the right back is. It's junk. It's complete junk. Oh, it's just awful, awful. It's great from Michelle Cooper, great from Kansas City, but as a Wave fan, I can't. Thing that bothers me too with defenders, I've said this before, the back blocking, the jumping, you just have to face that ball and you have to eat it. I'm sorry, but it's part of defending. Second goal from Kansas City, it was another transitional opportunity. I do think the Wave looked a little bit tighter here on defense, but again, they're very narrow and meant Maroney really couldn't get over to Michelle Cooper, who just flicks at. Sheridan makes a little bit of a mistake and things go from bad to worse. Third Kansas City goal for me is back to being defensive slop again. Positioning's fine. It's actual execution. Why are we having 2 people do the same thing? Why are we not stepping to the ball? When you watch the replay, the lack of step to the ball on this is really egregious. You can see Torpy's feet. She crosses over, she stops moving. Because she stops moving, she can't react in time. You just cannot stand flat-footed in that position. Not inside the box, not there. The fourth Kansas City goal, because 3 wasn't enough, also a transitional one. Not as bad of a defensive breakdown, but I think this is just a structural flaw. Again, Wave, very, very narrow, asking the center backs to do way too much work. You cannot expect 2 people to cover 50% of the pitch. It's just ludicrous. Not shocked at all that goes in. This consolation goal that the Wave got is actually a frustration goal to me. Look at how much ground Cascarino is covering, how there isn't really a good passing option for her. I guarantee you this is not what she's been told to do, but it just gave me this sense of like, this is a player who just wants to go do it on her own because stuff is not happening. No celebration, nothing. Truly fantastic goal, great vision. Like, she picked the exact square of the netting that she was aiming for, knew exactly what she was doing. Great consolation goal, really beautiful highlight reel, but winners of the day, obviously Kansas City going into the playoffs, hopefully with a ton of momentum. On to Portland Thorns versus Racing Louisville, and this is an important match. Portland looking for playoff seeding and Racing looking for a spot in the playoffs. I think Portland had the better run of play. I think they were generating better chances overall, and I think, honestly, if I had to pick player of the game, it would be Lund. That was a pretty simple save there, but she was doing a lot of work. Did really enjoy watching Emma Sears with her first U.S. Women's National Team call-up. I've been paying a little bit more attention to her, but that needs to go in the net for me. I think a lot of what Emma Hayes is looking for is players that can play one touch in the box up front. I think that's why we saw Ashley Sanchez get called up. This one, though, love that pass. I've been really enjoying watching Moultrie the past few weeks, and I thought this shot was great. Saves even better, but the shot was very pretty off the left foot and tight. Good news for Portland as well. They've got Sophia Smith back. I know they're going to need her going into the playoffs. I do think this team looked better once she came in. It wasn't like astronomically better, but I think they were generating some good chances with her in there. And, you know, they just looked like they were back to business. They were Portland Thorns again. This is not, you know, the most difficult save in the world, but Lund really keeping them in it. She was just reliable this match. Now, Racing are going to score on this corner, and I have watched it again and again, looking for anything that Portland could fix, what they shoulda, coulda, woulda done better. I don't think there's a damn thing. I think this is just a great header from Taylor Flint, unless you're going to magically sign 2 girls taller than her and put them in front and behind of her. I just don't see what else you can do here. I know there are a lot of Taylor Flint fans out there, and I have to say I historically have not been one of them. And, you know, I think what it is, I haven't been a Taylor Korniak fan. I still have a little bit of a bad memory from a certain game. And this is what I think she has done really, really well with her game in the last year. Yes, she is number 1 in the league for aerial duels won. I think she is probably one of the tallest, if not the tallest player in the league, so that's kind of expected. What I think she's really done well is the placement of those balls, where they're going. I think, when I saw her at the Wave, it was a little bit uncontrolled, and she seems to really understand that she is the fabric that strings everything together at Louisville, and it has been working. So I'm very, very happy to see that, and I'm turning into a Taylor Flint fan. Hopping right into Bay versus Courage, and I think North Carolina's defense did a very nice job against the transitional looks that Bay was sending their way. They just seem organized, their structure and their spacing is really good. I think they locked down the edges really nicely. They did not lose this game because they played poor defense. That's certainly not what happened here. What did happen was they generated a lot of chances quite quickly, and I think we saw Murphy have to make a fair few leaping saves. When the Courage did have chances, I feel like they looked a little sloppy. They just weren't neat or organized or structured. It was just kind of chaotic when they would get upfield, and they just looked like they were having a really hard time generating any actual offense. This one in the second half, I thought this looked a lot better. This was kind of promising, but I gave Miss Ashley Sanchez a nice shout out for her one-touch ability. I really hope she's not getting nervous now that she knows there's a few more eyeballs on her. Right before this set piece, Bay had another one, and I wish I could get the audio of it, but NWSL Plus does not have the footage up yet, so I don't have audio. But 77 minutes in, they took a set piece and they did something I have never seen any professional team ever in the world do before. Maybe somebody's done it. Please let me know if you know of anybody else that has. They pumped music up. They pumped music up like it was a WNBA game. The energy was up. I couldn't believe it. There was a stoppage in play. It was like being at a hockey game, being at a basketball game. It was very weird. And I don't know if that had some kind of impact on the next one. Who knows, but interesting. So I think there was no music for this kick. We have a traditional free kick. And I think this one is just another set piece defense breakdown because Dahlkemper just gets away from her mark. When you look at it from the other angle, it's almost like it's not really clear who should be marking her. I think it's pretty dang clear, but she gets away, pops that one in the net. Great finish, and I left this in because, I don't know, it's Abby Dahlkemper. Next up, the big one, Pride versus Gotham. I was so curious about this one because I really think there's a good chance the teams match up in about a month's time. I wasn't really sure how the coaches were going to approach this. Juan Carlos, I think, has usually said in interviews that he wants to play every single match like it matters. That's why they've taken the Summer Cup so seriously. That's why we're going to be seeing them play Kansas City for that this Friday. But I wasn't so sure about Orlando. I think one of you commented very intelligently last week that if Orlando stick with the same roster, they have some opportunity to start, gelling and getting that experience with the backups. They did not do that. They started their starters, probably knowing that Juan Carlos was going to start his starters. It was a battle, that's for sure. Let's look at the film. I feel like I saw Orlando try Banda in a few different spots. We saw her on the left, we saw her central, we saw her on the right. Most of the defenders did a pretty decent job covering her, but Jess Carter did a really excellent job. It was a really fun matchup to watch, and this kind of gave me the feel of a Champions League match. It just had that sort of level of importance and quality of play to it. Gotham were pretty consistent in how they approached the ball in this match. They really wanted to play up the left wing. They wanted to commit a lot of numbers forward, and then they wanted to rotate the ball around the box. This one is very similar, coming up the left, pulled across the right to Yasmin Ryan, another U.S. Women's National Team call-up, and I think they were looking to get that ball to her feet a lot. Now this corner, it's just choppy, 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 and in it goes. I think this is actually another great version of that body block that we saw earlier, the pick play, but this time Hyatt just covers up Sams. She is in position to play the ball. It's all good. I do think she gets credited with the goal in the end. Not long later, we see Banda moved a little bit more centrally. Hyatt's trying to cover her and has to tug a little bit there. I'm surprised that wasn't a yellow card, but I think it was a little bit of foreshadowing because, not a minute or two later, here's Barbara Banda, here's Hyatt. She does not get any of that ball. It is all foot. It's a little more apparent on the close-up, but Barbara Banda just has such a good read of the ball, such excellent timing, and she creates this foul. She truly does. It's unfortunate for Hyatt, but Banda just so exceptional in every phase of the game. I was a little surprised to see Adriana take this one over Marta, but she was obviously feeling it because she sends that one home, and we know Berger is pretty good at saving penalties, so I think Orlando, they feel like they're in a pretty good spot now. You're going in at halftime, you're tied, but the thing is, I think Gotham they were comfortable being uncomfortable. When they were passing the ball around the box and it was choppy, they just weren't giving up. And Orlando looked more uncomfortable. This isn't pretty at all. None of this is pretty, but the ball goes in the net. And I think this is what we're going to see as we move into the playoffs, you know? The set pieces probably are going to be a little bit choppier. Play is going to be choppier. Who knows? But it's really just going to be a case of who can fight for it. It's not like Orlando's defense was terrible. I think when they had time and space, they looked good. This looked like a normal, typical Emily Sams play. Decent pass there. We've got Banda on the right over here, but I don't know. The Pride just did not quite seem like themselves. This was a little bit slower paced than their normal build-up. And yes, we usually have a Bello here playing fantastic balls in, but she's normally got those precision crosses, and that one just goes over. So Orlando just don't seem like themselves right now. This third Gotham goal, it's a set piece again, second opportunity again. So I think we're starting to see the problem for the Orlando Pride is set piece defense. They just do not have it figured out. Now, beautiful pass there from Lavelle. No idea what Marta's doing standing still. Great finish from Ella Stevens. How did the rest of this match play out? Well, there was more good tackling from Jess Carter and company, but I think the story for the Orlando Pride, it's the same as last week. They had more corners than Gotham. They had more set pieces than Gotham. And what did they do with it? Absolutely nothing. This team has been really good on set pieces, and it's not like they were starving for them. They just could not finish. So I think the playbook for beating the Orlando Pride has been found. I wonder how quickly Orlando can adjust. They've got fantastic coaching. Trust me, they know what they're doing. So I wonder where this is going. I'm dead curious. Next up is Washington and Chicago, and we're now truly into the realm of games I did not watch, and the replays aren't available, so these are just the highlights. I think Washington seems to have had much better opportunities. It seems like they were generating more chances, getting more shots on net. They started this game still missing starters. They're still going through the depth of their roster a little bit. But we did have Casey Kruger back for the full match. They had Rodman back for part of the match. The Spirit team just looked like they're gelling, you know? Carl's coming into her own. I think she's a fantastic player. Love watching her. Really happy to see that goal for her. Now, the other part of the story for me, Ludmila's been fantastic. And I think she was just fairly shut down. Looked like Chicago had a hard time getting the ball to her. She looked really frustrated. Even defensively, she just was not getting her usual work done. Gives away a good opportunity there. So what happens when we have frustration? It builds, it boils, and we had this unfortunate moment. Not a good look for either of the players. Red cards come out. I think when you look at the full play of what happened, yes, they should have both had a red card. I guess it's the time to do it, right? You don't want to do this during the playoffs. I think this probably hurts Chicago a little bit worse right now, but it is what it is. With each team at 10, I would put my money on Washington, and they were already ahead. This interception here looks really familiar to something we saw Ashley Hatch do a couple weeks ago, and Washington's press has just been phenomenal. They're generating a lot of chances of this. McKenna Morris has been something to watch as well. Love seeing her tangled up in the net. Just feels like youth soccer. Closing the week out, it's Utah versus Angel City, but given the Bay result earlier, this is just a consolation game at this point and a chance to play. I think another one where possession was pretty even, but one team dominated on the shot creation, and that was Utah. They have done, I said it in the last video, but the roster building that they've done has been great. They're looking a lot more complete. They're looking like they've got the quality they need. Shots like that, when you're taking those shots, creating them again and again, the ball is going into the net. You just have to have faith and be consistent. This is another one of Utah's summer transfers stepping up to take the kick here, Claudia Zornoza, and she is turning into quite the set piece specialist. Utah are really building something here, and I'm a little bit worried about the teams that are going to have to face them next season. A lot of Angel City's attack came from two players, Alyssa Thompson and Claire Emsley, but I do feel like there's a bit of disconnect in the play. On this one, Alyssa Thompson doesn't really have anybody to pass to, has to go shoot. This one, Emsley's doing a lot of work to get the ball into a crossable position, but kind of has to blindly cross it because she's struggling so much. I don't know. It was just like close for a lot of it, but just not there. Messiah Bright is someone I think has been looking better week after week. I love this touch here, the way she gets around a player, but the shot's just not all that. So how did Angel City finally crack the score sheet? Well, not surprising. It's another set piece, and it's actually another set piece second opportunity. Seems like people are having trouble defending these. This one has to be one of the most beautiful goals of the year. It's completely unsavable. The arc on it is just so calculated. Wow. I think Giselle Thompson plays this really smartly here. Really intelligent movement, and LaRue is just quick to get that off their foot and knows exactly where she's going with it. Fantastic goal, and tell you what, this Angel City roster has some talent on it for sure. No regular season matches this weekend as we have a break for the U.S. Women's National Team friendlies. Really excited to watch those and see what Emma Hayes is doing with the rosters. I think it's going to be very different to what we've seen in the past. I'm really excited about that. Do also have the Summer Cup. And another one where I am just wondering how the coaches are going to approach this because we've got two playoff teams in there, Gotham and Kansas City. I'm not even sure what I would do as a coach. So welcome your thoughts on that. Appreciate your time, and I'll see you for next one.